So once again, our community building and finance, or community building and finance, is our topic this evening. And this is one of the most common requests for a topic for a mentor session: how to network around your team and how that networking may help you in your finance. And I'm taking perhaps a little different approach this evening. During the last few years, we've had a number of really great calls where teams have presented their strategies for community building and finance. And you can find all of these on the First Canada website. We've heard from Team 2056 and Team 2706 Merge and Team Day 3683, to name but a few examples. We've had numerous calls like this. And even some of the collaborators on our call this evening have offered their insight and expertise relating to this topic over the last little while. So one of the great objectives is to continually encourage teams to strengthen the bonds of community between the teams, to share our strategies about what's working, to coordinate in our efforts to our outreach to mentors and sponsors, and to really create a vibrant and growing community that, as a natural side effect, is able to access the proper financial resources. So by the end of the session, it's my hope that you may start thinking about some goals for your community building and finance, and exploring the ways in which the two complement each other, because they're not completely separate. And maybe some of our discussion may focus around that sort of idea, how community building and finance intertwine in their aspects and in their impact on your team. So if we could have you start thinking about, or even start jotting down a few plans to make your community building and finance efforts on your team sustainable and fruitful, then well, that would be a great end to this session. And we'll see how we are able to do during this time. So we'll estimate that this session will go for about an hour. And if there are more questions, there are always more slots for mentor sessions, and we may continue the discussion elsewhere. I'm sure there's lots more that we can do over time. So we may take some time to do some introductions, and especially now because, first of all, we have some rookie mentors on the call, and you may look at your or you may introduce yourselves and find ways to connect through that process. But also it'd be nice to hear from everyone, what are your team's current goals about community building and finance? And just for our rookie teams, prefacing it, there's a really nice onboarding mechanism in First, where a good part of your first year expenses are covered through various generous grants from the United States. The Argosy Foundation and other funders are able to provide $4,000 the first year and $2,000 the second year to most teams that are rookie teams. And then that's added to by First Canada's ability to, First Robotics Canada, the $2,000 Canadian that we're able to funnel through from our funders and our donors. So all in all, the generosity of the wider community has made many teams' experiences possible. So with that, I'm going to unshare my screen. It will just take a few minutes to introduce each other. And some of you know each other just from the previous call. What I might do, as I see a number of representatives of Team 9580, I'm going to turn the floor over to 9580 and let you introduce yourselves en masse. Change the Now, for example, is 9580, and then you see a number of others. Oh, hi, it's another Joanne, Joanne Foxton. And so maybe I'll turn it over to Joanne, who's also known as Change the Now.
Yeah. Hi, William. Good to see you, and nice to see everybody. Nice to see so many of our team members on the call. That's awesome. We really appreciate the grants, so that's a really great place to start. And making sense of them from a US to Canadian conversion has been interesting to me, to see the First Robotics to follow along on one dashboard, but other things mean different things. I was expecting to have to pay quite a lot more to register, but I didn't have to. So that was a bonus and gives us a little bit of wiggle room to start. We're a college, so we're Georgian College. It's our first team ever. And we are really working to learn and get to know what fundraising means for Georgian College. So we have very different parameters to live within. Yes. So we're figuring that out as we go. We have their support for sure from Georgian. We just have to navigate things carefully. So we're still learning what that looks like. We're guesstimating a $10,000 budget to start as a rookie team. I've heard that that's kind of fair, but things grow fast. So I'm wondering if we've underestimated anything. Yeah, I don't know, Dan or Marjorie or Joe, Adam, I don't know. Adam might not be on this. I don't know if anybody wants to add anything to where we're at, what our approach is so far.
I'll just say hello. I'm the other Joanne on our FIRST Robotics team. I work with Joanne Foxton in building programming, and we're definitely trying to bring a change maker aspect to our community building. So I'll speak to that lens. So when FIRST Robotics comes in with the gracious professionalism, we are on board with that completely, and we're trying to bring in the elements of empathy and what collaboration looks like within this space, but also shared leadership. So those are some of the components where we're starting to work with our team and kind of fostering some fun activities and build outs along the robot building side of it.
Great. Thank you so much, Joanne. We also have representing Georgian College and the Change the Now team, 9580, Marjorie, Jordy, and Daniel. So let's hear from Marjorie. Oh,
there it is. I couldn't find my unmute. Hello, everyone. I'm Marjorie Cook. I am on 9580. I have a background in accounting and marketing, so I'm looking forward to learning a little bit more about how to support this new program of ours. Thank you.
How about Jordy?
My name is Jordy. I'm a new student mentor for 9580. I used to be a student for 2 years for Team 6336, the Jabberwockies, so I'm hoping to bring some of that experience to this team now.
Amazing, thank you. And Daniel.
So George Paul. So kind of what I brought to the table with this team is I have a lot of experience in fundraising for a lot of other organizations that I work with on a volunteer basis. I'm also a level officer for the Barrie 102 Silver Fox Air Cadet Squadron. So we're really interested in kind of how this is all going to play out and how the cadets are getting involved. Actually, we have a couple of my cadets are team members. The team, we have 3 that are sitting on the team now. So that's kind of exciting for me. My sort of skill set is more around the fundraising, so this is kind of what I'm here for, booking hotels and booking meals.
That's exciting because that's the beauty for our community. With so many different sets of experience, we can all benefit from each other's perspectives and the insights. So thank you so much to our Change the Now team. I'm going to go to Noah, as I'm not quite sure which team Noah is from. And if you do have a chance, Noah and Ildiko, you might want to put your team number just for us all to understand which team you're on. I see. Oh, interesting. Okay. Noah is perhaps an FRC veteran, team 1880. And maybe you can let us know in chat a little bit about you and your connection to FRC. And then we might hear from Ildiko. We see Ildiko has unmuted. Oh, there we are. Yeah.
Hi everyone. I'm a new coach and a new teacher with Team 854. I'm learning tons of information from you guys and from mentors. And we look forward to get more community building in our area at Martin Grove Collegiate.
Great. Thank you so much, Ildiko. And Peter.
Yeah, hi, I'm from Six Nations Polytechnic STEAM Academy. Our institution is actually a college sort of organization. I'd be curious to learn more about the other college thing, but we're a high school within that, and we're operating a team just within the high school thing. So curious about how the college thing is working. So if we can touch base later. I'd be very curious to see how you're running this, and curious to know whether it's college students that are participating or whether the college is basically acting as a host for a community team, essentially. So really eager to learn more about that.
Great, thank you, Peter. We'll continue with Ram. I'm not sure if Ram is hearing us. If you are, you can chime in. We'll continue with Arjun.
Yeah, hello. My name is Arjun. I'm a mentor for Team 7902. We're from Markham. We're community-based also. I look like that your team 9580 is community-based, so good to meet another community team. And we kind of have students from all around, Vaughan, Richmond Hill, so on. We're kind of the team for people in York Region who don't have a team at their high school. So that's where we are today.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Arjun. And we go on to David.
I'm David. I'm with Team 781. We're a community team in Kincardine. Been around for quite a while. Every year, it's always a thing to try to find financing. And our budget is somewhere in the $60,000 to $70,000. That's what it costs us to run our team. A lot of it is travel. Every event is a travel event for us, so it's expensive for us.
Thank you so much, David. I think I have a sense as to where you are now. Is that actually? I had the great fortune of visiting David at his workshop during an FLL event a few weeks ago now. So, and have we covered it? Oh yeah, Jimmy. Wonder if the mute button is not apparent. Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm from 7520. Yeah, we got the team from another MPO. Right now we take over. Yeah. So we're still young. Yeah. So I'm here. Yeah, to learn something from you. Thank you. Okay.
Great. So thank you so much. And well, we already do have quite a breadth of experience on here, not only from FRC, but from just community in general. And we have people from a wide range of backgrounds here on the call. So that will really help us in our brainstorming as to how to raise finances and raise communities. So I'll just share a screen just to get us talking a little bit. Thank you for having shared your goals. And I see there's a few comments in the chat. We'll come to those in a moment. So strategies. And well, when we're involving people, we're building community. And so looking at 3 levels of strategies, how to involve the participants in the team, how to involve the parents, and how to involve the teachers and the administrators. And maybe I'll start with a few little examples to get us started, and then you may also include some of your own anecdotes and or insights that you've gained from how the involvement of different levels of collaborators in a program, whether it's FRC or not, can help to enhance the bonds of community within the program and make it more effective. So the just three things for us to consider here: the participants and the parents and the teachers and administrators. I might add, I should have also said here mentors, and I had meant to include that in one of these statements here, as mentors are a really important aspect of our program. So I'm just going to start with the students, and something that I found, this program has really helped to change the mindset of what a high school student is. So if we look at the broad narrative of the progress of a student through different levels of school, even though we're learning in school, something in our society has also got to the point where, okay, it's so systematic and so structured in the learning, there's a little bit of a limitation on our expectations about what happens at each level. And this didn't become apparent to me until I traveled to other countries. So for example, the age at which you do certain things, it kind of is different in different countries, and sometimes for the good and sometimes not for the good. We're very thankful here in Canada that we don't have 6-year-olds running shops. Well, that's what I saw when I was traveling in South America. They're quite capable of running shops. Now, should they be running shops? That's a whole other discussion. And this also goes with academic development. At a very young age, some people have very deep mathematical insight. And the question is, well, should we develop it? Well, in FRC, a natural thing happens. The students develop this deep insight and great skill bases well before they're expected to. So we're transforming the collective expectations about what a child or a youth should be able to do through our programs. And we're seeing this all the time. And you'll notice even in some of our mentor talks, we include students. They're very capable of giving a really well-rounded presentation. Even on a short amount of life experience in this program, they're able to learn enough to share usefully with other people. And so this is a place to pause. How might you include your students in a plan to build community and build finance? And I'll just put that question out there and see if you have any thoughts that come to mind.
Can't really find the hand. Is it okay if I go ahead?
Sure. Yeah, just jump.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess one of the things that we've been trying to do is we have a lot of kind of the administrative work, which is accounting and finance related, bookkeeping. Some of it's confidential, like the team membership fees, but when we can, we try to walk them through the process of, okay, here's how you enter things into the ledger, here's how you produce a financial statement, and especially the students who have taken high school accounting and are interested in going in accounting or doing like a minor in finance or something, they're quite interested in that. So there are a lot of things where they can just shadow the mentors and they can learn those hands-on skills. And another big thing is outreach events. So we used to try to leave it to the business members to kind of plan out and coordinate the outreach events. We had mentors kind of be in the background, but a lot of students aren't joining for business anymore. They prefer to do DECA or something like that. So I've tried basically in each outreach event, 1 or 2 students, can they be kind of the coordinators of this, talk to other students, figure out who can attend the event, even send emails. We were trying to coordinate an outreach event with another team, so that was good because we were able to get the 2 teams together. And it's a lot of emphasis on just having the students first of all start shadowing the mentors and then move into that role more independently, I guess. So in terms of CAD and programming and all of that, it's definitely, we want it to be a lot of the students, but there are a lot of these administrative things where we think the students can benefit a lot from helping out with that, from getting that hands-on experience.
So I think that's a really great point. Not only does the hands-on experience help to start making networking in the community possible, as a side effect, you get more relationships and then you get more financial opportunities. So that's really great. I saw in the chat, Suzanne mentioned that the students can be involved in the outreach. Have you seen that happen, or have you just heard about that, Suzanne?
No, we secured a sponsor that's I guess he's got like workshops upon workshops of tools. And so Connor was the one who secured the sponsorship. He's giving us a sliding scale. So the first year 300, second year 600, and then it will go up as the years go through. And he's committed to that. And then on Saturday, I'm at a volleyball tournament. So he's going to go with our other mentor, Peter, and they're going to go to the workshop and pick out the tools that they needed. He said he can take anything. So Connor's been the point person with that. I have actually nothing to do with it. And so he's fully done it. I made the sponsorship package, and then Connor, he actually emailed it to the sponsor. So I'm trying to stay as hands off because I think it's important for the students to understand how much the money this is costing. And when they want to do, like, I understand Swerve is really expensive. So when they want to do something as expensive as that they need to figure out how to raise the money to do it. As a community team, we don't have the school backing. We have to come up with all the money ourselves. So I think it's important that they recognize, like anything, right? You need them to understand how much things cost, and you can't just ask for it and it's going to appear.
Yeah. We're definitely trying on our team, trying to, like, it's not a business, it's not for profit, but it's like, if this was an actual engineering company, if we were doing like industry engineering, what is the net value of this? What is the benefit of this? How much time do we want to spend on something? Of course, we don't like bill by the hour like an engineering company, but how many hours do you want to spend on something before feasibly it doesn't make sense to proceed with it? And also in terms of understanding how much things cost, I think a few students were talking about Swerve. So I said, okay, could you put together a report over the summer that would say how much would Swerve cost? What are the three options? I think there's like West Coast Products, Rev Robotics, and Swerve Drive Specialties. How much would it cost in spare parts? How much would duties and import fees cost? And they had to go talk to other teams about that. So it really gave them a sense of how much is this actually going to cost, not just the Swerve modules, but the cost to actually implement it in the design of the robot. And so now they have that figure, and then they know now, okay, if we want to go to Swerve, there's also a financial target there, not just the technical target.
Easy. So there is a really great set of examples of involving students in a planning process and also relating some financial fundraising to a specific goal that can really help. And you're trying to do Swerve, that creates a vision, and then maybe that's something everyone can work towards. I see, David, you have a comment.
So our team, all the funds are raised by the students. So in the fall, we actually strike a subgroup of people who want to do, we refer to as sponsorship drive. We're also a registered charity in Canada. So we have a board of directors, and we have annual meetings and all that other stuff that attaches to that. But so we set a goal of what we want them to be able to raise through their sponsorship drive. Everybody who gives us money as a sponsorship actually gets onto our t-shirt. That's part of it, right? How much you give us determines how big your logo and or company name is on the back of our shirt. Our title sponsors are $10,000. We have one title sponsor so far. I was hoping to get two, but the other one didn't come up with that kind of money this year. So but it is what it is. But we have several that come in at $5,000, and they're the next level down. As I said, our budget is $60,000, so they sound like big numbers, but they don't go very far. Anyway, so our students raise all the money. They do our outreach events. We have one mentor, at least one mentor, who attends every outreach event, and that's just for liability insurance. But the students run the events. The students do all the talking to people and make those connections. Our team has become a member of the Chamber of Commerce in the area. So we use the chamber as part of our networking into the businesses in the area, which helps drive the sponsorships. So when we're calling companies to get sponsorship money, they know who we are. We do a lot of outreach events in the summertime. We're a tourist town, so lots of outreach events in the summertime. So we attend all those. Just getting our name out there helps.
That's really great. Thank you, David. Creates a nice vision of what can be done at various points in the year to keep your team immersed in the community and gaining sponsorship support. Yeah. We might look at this from a few other lenses. For example, parents can be involved. I've seen many teams that make really great use of their parents. The parents can help to supervise in a side room or arrange supper or offer rides. It depends on what's the situation for each team, but there are many roles that the parents may play. So you may want to comment about that. But as I'm at it, we have teams from schools and community groups here. So you may want to think about, well, how do we involve mentors? How can we reach out to mentors? I see 9580 is figured out some kind of secret to get a lot of mentors. I don't know, really quickly, you have a lot of mentors. I've lost track of them all actually. Then we also consider administrators and teachers, how they may support your team. So this is kind of an open question, and anyone may comment with respect to their experience or insight from schools or community organizations as your team may have it.
I have a little comment on what we're doing with 9580. So I know that you see lots of Georgian mentors.
Yeah.
But I think what we need to do is tap into those high school mentors as well. So because we are the community team and we're bringing the students in from those schools, it would be nice to develop those connections. That works well for us. Also to bring in that connection that's with that student in that home school as well. So I think kind of that's one of the directions that we were going to look at.
That looks like a really great way to further develop and strengthen that relationship. And it's something you may want to consult a little bit about with First Robotics, as we have a steadily increasing set of contacts throughout Ontario schools, and maybe we can work on that together. That would be great.
Like, I may or may not be wrong, but I think a lot of the schools, their challenges is the resources and the time for faculty and teachers to actually commit to extracurricular activities like this. So if we can give them an opportunity to plug and play, then that's a great win for all of us all the way around.
And we can see that, I think, some of the really great institutions in the States that have made possibilities like that. For example, NASA is a really strong supporter of a number of teams, and then offers enough mentors that makes the load lighter for the teachers. And so you can think about that. Maybe your school has a different situation or your organization, but between mentors and community leaders and parents and all of this, there should be some way for each team to get enough support. So that's a really great insight there, that networking with teachers will help to support your students, and then make the teachers be able to consider having their own team. And that would be a really great opportunity for even more schools. So yeah, that's something to really consider. If you look at some of the most remarkable teams historically, they've got the balance right between engaging students, engaging mentors, finding engineers, financial people in the community, and even other non-skilled, non-technical mentors. There's even a call from the Ontario mentors to recognize those mentors for an award, as many people behind the scenes, they're not designing the latest gadget to put on the robot, but they are keeping the pasta warm and the students fed. And that's a huge benefit, I'm sure, after many hours of building. So I think when you're considering your plans, you may list down, well, how are each of those members of your robotics team and or community going to be engaged in your fundraising and community building efforts. Just if I'm missing something in a chat, you can let me know. I don't always see all of the screen at any one time. Just going to go to the next slide to continue along our conversation. Oh, now I'm seeing the chat. Oh, good. We have some conversations. Oh, wow. Lots of side conversations here. That's great. Thank you. So here are some interesting sort of points that have been gleaned from various community building and fundraising conversations over the time here, for me anyway, over my time in FIRST. First of all, one approach to developing a community for sponsorship, for example, is to call up 1,000 people and say, hi, would you like to sponsor our robotics team? And the answer usually is, well, who are you? And that's if you get a response. I think response rates tend to be between 1% and 3% for even getting some kind of meaningful conversation out of these cold calls, and perhaps closer to 1% for an organization arising to support. Whereas doing networking, it starts with people you know, and it creates more people that you know from the people that you know. And that works a little bit better because then when the who are you question comes up, oh yeah, well, I'm his nephew. Oh, well, I work with him. Well, that's great. And then suddenly this all fits together. Then they can make a tangible connection to you and are much more willing to support. So that's one thing that we have heard about a lot, the experience of networking. And what I mean by networking is going through people you know versus cold calling. There's quite a difference in the success rate. And then the second point is when I say engaging on a community and financial level, let's say that we go to some engineering firm and imagine the case where we phone up an engineer and say, oh, can you support us? And they say, well, I don't know. Well, who are you again? But maybe they do end up supporting you and offer you $1,000. And then next year you go around to them. Oh yeah, they gave us $1,000 last year. Let's phone them again. And then it's just sort of like a relationship that's once a year. Hi, would you like to give us more money? But now think about it in a different way. Would your company like to provide a few mentors for our team? The mentors may be able to engage in the community and meet some of their future employees and then become involved in something meaningful. And as a side effect, they may feel the inclination to offer your team some financial support. And when we think on that way, we're building our community, and a natural conversation that can arise is, well, how else can we help your team? Well, why not financially as well? So thinking of this process holistically, to me and to the many anecdotes that I've collected over the last few years, that seems to be one of the factors that differentiates successful from not so successful fundraising campaigns. It's actually community building campaigns with fundraising as a natural outgrowth. And then we've already had a mention here of a few fundraising events, and they may fit within the sort of category of just having an event with the team or involving a much wider audience in planning and carrying out the event. So how you do your fundraising and the level to which you engage the community in this fundraising can also make a big difference. And I just wanted to mention there is a mechanism for willing team or willing organizations to donate to your team. And we have a mechanism for that. If you'd like to learn more about that, you can email me. I'll send you some more information. I'm not going to share it here as we're looking at an overall strategy. So just let me know. Please text me or email me. I'll be happy to send you more information about the donor perfect mechanism. A few teams have already taken donations this way this year. Ah, interesting. So there's a little side conversation about being a school team versus a community team. And this indeed is one of the big challenges that we face in schools. There's so much going on in schools that it's really difficult for teams to find their way through and be supported in some cases. So this has
Roger, do you mind if I speak to this a little bit?
Sure. Go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah. So with our community team set up, although it is Georgian College and most of the mentors right now are Georgian College faculty and staff, the team itself is separate from that. So one of the challenges that we're having, yes, Georgian College is providing staff. Yes, we are all there as mentors and accessible. But because we also host the regional and we have awards and scholarships and other fundraising that happens at a much higher level, we need to kind of balance where we're asking for money, who we're asking for money, and kind of figure out how that all works. So there are some challenges working within the institution, kind of as the host of our team. But the advantage is that it really kind of dovetails nicely with Georgian College, because obviously this is the demographic of student that we want to speak to come to school. So there is some natural synergies there too. So I think there are definitely opportunities, but there are also some considerations to take into account with a community team based in this type of scenario. One of the other things that I'm kind of looking at or thinking about as well is, what does a community team look like if it was based within the cadet program? So the Air Cadet program is very engineering based, avionics, robotics, aerospace, all of that stuff. But what does it look like if a squadron were to decide they wanted to start their own team as well? So something else that's rolling around there. So there are a different couple of things that angles to look at for that. I hope that helps, Ram.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Interesting to note there's another group in Ontario that has approached us about running FRC through cadets. So that could create an interesting dynamic. I have it down on my list to contact them this month. So, wow, you never know.
I have a regional training officer that would love to speak to you.
That would be great. I'll be very glad to initiate that and find new creative ways to build community and build opportunities for our youth. So that's exciting. So I think what we're looking at here, there's no one magic solution. I think a lot of people would love to have that magic solution, and it's just not always possible. And maybe I can recount for you several types of teams that I see throughout the province. There are those who have had the benefit of, for example, Daniel is a seasoned fundraiser. So if you have someone like that on your team, for whom that fundraising comes naturally, then it generally makes the team more sustainable. Some people are almost 100% engineers and they're not really into the fundraising side, and that can be a little bit challenging. And sometimes around October and November, the teams have a scramble each year to get the funding going. And so every team has their own kind of situation. I see with David, for example, in Kincardine, this whole year schedule of fundraising and community connections, it all ties together because they know people at the chamber. Through their community events, they may meet them, and then they see the robot and they, wait a moment, those you guys are from the Chamber of Commerce. So these connections are suddenly multiplying, and then they're saying, yes, let's sponsor. And that's really great. There are other teams that are in a small town, or like Kincardine's not that small, but compared to Toronto, it is. But there are some, like for example, Manitoulin Island has 2 teams for only 12,000 people. So then you have a limited pool of businesses, and you have to be a little creative as to how you do your fundraising. And then we also have teams that are right next door to massive auto giants or tech giants, and then that's a whole other dynamic. So, oh, that's great. We have one there in 9621. So almost as many situations as we have teams. And that's where we may not find a magic solution from another team, but we may gain some insight and find a different strategy to try at least. And so the part of the thought of this call was, well, think ahead 1 year when your team is applying next year for its FRC season and signing up for events and arranging for the payment. A first-year team is mostly covered. A second-year team can expect a 2,000 American dollar in most cases, kind of sponsorship from headquarters. And then after that, you've been onboarded and you've been scaffolded. So by the 3rd year, your team has to become financially self-sufficient. And hopefully by that time, you've made enough inroads into the community to be able to manage the fundraising piece. And this is something I've mentioned in previous calls when we summarize, well, how can the students in the teams be involved in this? Coming back to the students for a moment, I've come up through conversations with 4 things that they ask students to do on different teams. One is to bring a fee. Some teams charge a fee. Community teams end up having to charge more than a school team, depending on what's happening. And that varies highly. 2, they may bring a parent. 3, they could bring a mentor. And 4, they might bring a sponsor. And there are different approaches. Some schools have social and economic reasons why they may choose only some, not all of those approaches. So, and an average fee, I'm not sure I would be able to note an average. I know a few of the fees. For example, I heard one team charges 1,000, but other teams may charge 100 or 200. And
we charge $100.
Pardon?
We charge $100.
That's pretty nice. And I think
and we
$100
use
is
that fee
good.
to cover their shirts.
not only to cover their shirt, but just to have a symbolic commitment that, yes, we are committed to this team. It's really good to have a low fee, just enough to make it very important for the participants to show up regularly. And but it's always a big question and a challenge that each team has to work out on their own. So I have a few rookie teams here in London, and the discussions around fees for their participants are varying widely as well. It depends on the facility you're using as well. Yeah, David.
Our kids also pay to travel. So there's also travel fees too.
Yes. And that's another thing to consider. You may have to say it's a team fee plus whatever you need to pay for your travel.
A question in regards to like so going to the nationals or to travel to the States, what is the time frame between like when you would know to when you would have to start booking and making payments on that? Like how much fundraising time is there in the middle?
So an interesting point is that if you want to go to Worlds and or even provincials, it's a good idea to start that planning now, just in case. So first of all, there is a concept out there, and this works especially well with school boards, having blanket permission for the year. If you can get a blanket permission for your team to attend events, and then you just fill in a single paper for each event, that will really help you when it comes down to getting your team to the provincials. Toronto's not that far from Georgian, so hopefully you would be able to work that out in that case. But in some cases, it's very far from Manitoulin Island and Ottawa, and there's a lot more to consider. Between the last event in Ontario, which on this year will be on March 28th to 30th at McMaster and Windsor, we have only a few days of turnaround until April 3rd when you have provincials. During that time, we do a lot of tallying of which teams are able to compete, and then we're in constant contact with all of these teams and making sure we're supporting them to get there. So it's really great to have those permissions already ready and have a plan in mind. Are you going or are you not? So you're ready. And the same goes for Worlds. The budget for going to Worlds can be rather breathtaking. Several of the mentors here are nodding in understanding of that statement. And we're talking tens of thousands of dollars at a minimum. And some teams, depending on how they like to travel, they bring more, and they bring more students as well. So that probably depends on having a rather formidable sponsor and a very well conceived plan. It includes booking hotels well in advance. And the system for booking hotels in Worlds, there'll be announcements about when they are able to book them, and you should see them on some of your team updates from HQ. If you're considering going to Worlds, you want to do the research and do that early. And as I mentioned in my previous call, a rookie team last year did so well that they exceeded their expectations and were not ready when it was time to go to Worlds. And that was very sad, but it was quite a triumph that we should just turn it around and say, wow, amazing. A rookie team out of nowhere comes sixth in Ontario, and an incredible achievement. So I guess the short of it is you plan as far ahead as possible, get as many permissions in place as possible, and imagine what your team would do if on March 30th, your points put you in the list for the provincials and or for the World Championships a few days later. Hope that might help in your sort of fundraising. And as we're also mentioning on the previous call with our rookies this evening, there's quite a diversity out there, and opportunities are at different levels for everyone. And we put as much energy as we can into the provincials to make it as close to the World Championship experience as possible, so that everyone can finish the season satisfied that they've had an incredible opportunity. And then the same goes with our events as well. Some teams only do one event. My team, we never could go to the provincials because they all graduated, all of my students, and they're already on airplanes before the provincials were even considered. When they were a little bit earlier, they were in exams. There's just no way. So we only did our 1 or 2 events each year, and that was it. And we were happy with that, and that's all we could do. So a few thoughts for you to think about. You can also foresee the costs of the provincials and the World Championships by checking out the related websites. And there is an additional fee for provincials and for the World Championships that you could work into your long-term planning. So I'll just consider the next sort of slide here. And I think the next part of what we might do is simply a discussion. And when we're thinking about it at the start of the call, no matter what we do, there's no magic solution to fundraising and community building. Networking with people in calls like this is often a good place to start. And networking with other teams at events is also a great place to start. I've already seen several teams here taking advantage of that opportunity and making great connections with teams out there. And that's the richness of our community, and it gets us along the pathway of sustainability. And so you may imagine from our time here, how is your team going to be sustainable? How are you going to involve your students, parents, teachers, administrators, mentors, and extended family in the endeavor of community building and fundraising? And then ponder on how the two are related, because pure, unadulterated fundraising is quite a dry exercise, and it doesn't really create human connections. However, building strong community connections, on the other hand, often spontaneously creates the fundraising which you would like. And that's a sort of an unusual situation in my team. I was at an international secondary school, and we just started with a 3D printer. Then we started the robotics team based on the students' interest, and one thing led to another, and all the students rallied around and they fundraised themselves the first year. And they imposed upon themselves in their first team meeting that everyone would create a fee or bring some kind of sponsorship. And that's what my students did, and that got us on the board. And then from one year to another, more and more people came and spontaneously offered our team support. And that was a unique situation for my school. But I think the side effect, or the point, is that creating great activities and great experiences for the youth has this effect of inspiring people, and often, more often than not, you'll see spontaneous donations will come out of unexpected areas. So focusing on the value you're creating for the students will enable you to find a way, one way or another. And I've also seen that from the mentors on this call and all through the province, a sense of tenacity, of patience, of endeavor, and one thing leads to another, and you'll overcome the financial challenges, and year to year grow a stronger and stronger community. So that's a starting point for some, and just food for thought for others. And I really appreciate all the insights and anecdotes that we've heard on the call this evening, and that's part of the richness of our community as well. So if anyone does have additional questions, I'd be very happy to address those in emails and phone calls, as you know. And I'll open up the floor for some of that right now.
Fundraising ideas, robot cookies. So we have a great event management program here at Georgian College. So I do plan on tapping into the college students that are participating in event management. So they usually pick some local charities and then do small fundraisers. They can raise anywhere from $300 to $1,500 for an event. They just recently did a cookie and chocolate fundraiser for International Chocolate Day, and I think they pulled in about $650 over the course of a few hours in the afternoon up near the cafeteria. So there's little opportunities like that, and then we'll see about hooking some big fish down the road.
Amazing. Wow.
Our team does quite a few bottle drives. We just set up in front of our space, and people bring their empties to us, and we make anywhere between $400 and $900 at a bottle drive. It's not too bad for 4 hours worth of work.
I've also seen at my previous school, before I was into FRC, we had these silent auctions, and the students would go around to local businesses and engage in the conversation with them. In our case, it was to raise money for international travel to create service projects in other countries. And it was really well received. And in one silent auction one evening, our school raised over $2,000. And it just took about 10 or 15 students going out to about 10 or 15 businesses each and getting a few items and then having them auctioned off. And it depends on who you have and what your community is. Now with the internet there, you can have your silent auction in a very wide geographic area if everyone can't make it in person. Suzanne.
Yeah, so as a community team, like I love the idea of their like cookies and stuff, but where would you hold that? Like, do you reach out to a like when do you hold it? Where do you, I just can't get my head around because I don't have a fundraising background.
So one place to look at would be local farmers market. A lot of time farmers markets will have community tables that are open for different groups to take advantage of. That'll allow you to come in. Some of them have rules about selling things. Some of them are just soliciting donations, but that's one spot. Local malls, sometimes if they allow you to do that as well. Just any kind of places of public nature like that.
The mall would let you do that? Would they let you sell cookies or would there be like a green pass problem?
That would be totally up to the management of the individual malls. So you'd have to see kind of what they would allow and what they
Happen
would
to
allow.
live across the street from the manager of the mall.
Oh, not bad.
Hey, there you go, building that network. I love it.
Yeah, future
Thank you
employee.
for that idea.
Oh, amazing.
So our town holds a hometown Christmas. It was the first weekend it was about 2 weeks ago. Anyway, our team does a bake sale. So the kids and their parents all get together and they bake all kinds of goodies. And then we do a bake sale by donation. Make a lot more money if you do it by donation than if you try to actually put prices on it. We make good money at it, and it's fairly easy to run.
If you're looking for space, you could also access legions. Legions are always good and very community focused, very youth oriented. Churches in your area as well. Generally, churches will have community spaces that are available for lease or rent at a reasonable rate, or your town or your municipality as well. They'll have event spaces or community spaces. Maybe you're able to go to the local arena during a hockey game and do a cookie sale in the hallway, that kind of thing too.
Wow, so much. So many ideas.
Thank you so much. That's so helpful.
We use our Legion for kickoffs. We're holding a kickoff at our Legion. We get the hall space for free as a nonprofit and have a fun time. We bring in our lunch and make a day of it. It's also where we hold our thank you dinner at the end of the year. They actually cater that for us.
Oh.
I really appreciated the atmosphere we felt in Kincardine. The small town atmosphere was really apparent, and we felt very welcome when we were there recently. And that really creates the opportunity for such events to happen, I'm sure.
Yeah, you might even find the Legion is willing to hand over a check for funding for your teams as well, based on their support for youth.
Oh yeah,
ours does. Ours is one of those $5,000 donors. They're up there.
Wow.
not bad at all. So many.
William, can I ask another question since these guys are so full of answers?
Certainly, certainly.
The community teams, where are you building a robot? Because the boys just ran the robot across my hardwood floors because I just got it going. And I'm like, yeah. So they're out on the road currently. I have my husband making sure they don't hit any cars. But where do you build robots if you're a community team?
Anywhere,
We
everywhere.
We rent space. We actually rent a shop downtown.
Is that massive amounts of money though? Because like I literally have not a lot of funds.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell you what we pay for it. It's not horrible, but it's not too bad.
But
I
you
could
think we
pitch
could
in
get
there as
maybe
well.
sponsored? Pardon me?
I could pitch in as well for that idea. I remember for 636, we ran out of a very small shop owned by the, I guess, father of the lead mentor, like the whole family was into helping. But one of the suggestions they gave, if they don't have the space, was wherever, if you do it in your garage, wherever personal space to actually build it and assemble it. And what you can do is you can actually ship parts and plans to, say, Barry Welding, for example, and they will make the parts for you. Like if you don't have the machinery to do it, you can get other people to machine it for you. And you can probably do that under like a sponsorship deal.
Yeah, I'm actually very fortunate. Peter is my second chair. He's worked with another team and he has a lot of toys that most normal people don't have in their garage, like a CNC machine and stuff. So I think we're very fortunate grabbing Peter. So we don't have that issue, but it's more of my hardwood floors that I'm a bit concerned about.
Would reaching out to the high school that your team
That's-
members
so-
are participating in?
That's the problem. So the community team that we're from, like we're a community team, but we're basically, my son wanted to do it through the high school and the high school's not doing it. And there's a little bit of, I want to say, gently say, animosity. So we have to be, I mean, the robot they're working on is actually from the high school, which is super nice. So we're just, it's last year, I guess it's quite a few years ago's robot that they've given our team to play with, but it's a very gentle relationship there. So I can't do that, unfortunately.
Another thing when it comes to hardwood floors, and we learned this the really hard way, our robot went flying one time, and safety is a really big issue. And we hadn't expected it, but the robot kind of became engaged unexpectedly while it was on a table. And because it wasn't on blocks, it went flying.
Oh.
We weren't even really trying to operate it, but so we always had a rule in my classroom that we had the robot on blocks, and we just happened to have these 4 wood blocks that were perfect to lift the wheels off and protect things like hardwood floors or hardwood.
I love that. Yeah, they literally just almost took out my 9-foot Christmas tree in the front hallway. And that's like, I don't know if you saw my camera go off, but I was like running in the middle of the meeting going, you get outside.
So last year we actually used our Legion for drive space. When you can find time in their hall, our Legion is pretty busy. But we also have been known to use auto garages. You can use those. Sometimes you get in, if you can talk to the people who run them. Sometimes you can get in at night, right? They put their hoist all up and you have use the concrete floors. Be resourceful what's out there. Free space is never guaranteed space. Just be aware of that.
Thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate all your help.
So
yeah, I guess I mean, the school team kind of thing sounds very familiar to us. We'd love to meet in a school, but the school board here isn't so supportive of the teams or having community groups come into the schools and do anything. So pretty much how we find build spaces through sponsors. It's been different build spaces throughout the years, 2019, 2020. There's this heritage building, schoolhouse from the 1850s, local community group had control of it. So we were able to use it on weekday evenings. That was back when I was still in high school. After the pandemic, 2022, we met at a place startup in Richmond Hill that one of the students, their parent was a partner there. And so we were able to use the space on weekends. If you can move your, especially as a community team, if you can move your meetings to weekends, then you can kind of use these office spaces and these spaces when the businesses aren't running on the weekends. So 2023, we met out of a unit in a small mall here in Markham. That the real estate the real estate holding company, they had a few spare units and we got a contact there, and we're trying that again this season. So it's been different places. The most we paid for rent is 500. That was more like a nominal rent, and that was back in 2022. So we've been pretty fortunate in terms of getting spaces sponsored, but I know it's not like that for every team. One thing I guess I'll share is we have 2 things. We have a package. Actually, the package is being updated for the season, but we basically have a presentation that we have all the students keep on them. And it's like basically a pitch. I just sent it in the chat. And it's like, okay, here is what we're looking for. We're looking January to April, this kind of space. And then we give some examples of here's what we had in the past, and here's how much space we need for storage, because storage is also a big thing, because we don't want to have to keep bringing the robot away from the space every weekend, but we also don't take up too much space. I think we aim for like a 4 foot by 4 foot by 6 foot space to stack the totes, put the robot in. There's a lot of components here that our team has been developing over the years, but I guess those are some starting points basically. And also, I'll take this from 2706. Don't hesitate to try to use many small spaces. Community libraries are good for meetings where you don't necessarily need to run the whole robot. We've had programming, just meet at the library, just write some code. We'll bring the electronics board in and run some motors. And then I think 2706, they had like 3 spaces one season, and there's a lot of coordination there. But if you can get a mentor on that, on coordinating where everyone needs to be, coordinating the carpools, then it's sometimes easier than finding one big space where everyone can meet at the same time.
Those are spectacular ideas. I love it. I
Yeah,
love that
thank
mall
you.
idea too.
Yeah.
It gives you
Yeah.
a front-facing venue to sell stuff and to have people come and see your team.
Yeah, we couldn't sell stuff, but we did have some people come by and ask, and I think we got some students involved that way. We actually that mall was very close to a local high school, so the high school students would come there on the weekends and after school, and they'd see, oh, what are you doing? And we're like, oh, you could join next season or like middle of this season. It's kind of hard middle of the season, but then next season we had a few sign up, so they're on the team now.
That's spectacular. I love it.
I just wanted to add that pre-COVID, we were able to take, as a rookie team and so on, we're able to take advantage of the Robodome in Hamilton. It's in a former elementary school from the Catholic School Board, the gymnasium. Not quite big enough for a full-size field, but it's got about 3/4 or 2/3 of a field. When a new competition is unveiled, as will happen pretty soon, the kids are more involved in designing their robots, but parents of some of the host teams from some of the schools that use the Robodome come in and build the field elements. So field elements are available pretty early on and allow teams then to actually try out, things like the teeter-totter in the previous game and various climbing and hanging sorts of things, ball shooting and ball scoring. So that's really, really handy. We can't go there on a weekday generally. We're in Brantford and these guys are in Hamilton. But we do, and we have gone there on Saturdays, spend a whole day Saturday there. And invariably there are other teams there. And we gain as much from the other team mentors who, in the spirit of gracious professionalism, quite happily sit down with our guys and and help them with whatever technology or coding or design issue that they might be struggling with, and find that really, really helpful. 4039 and Celtex both have been really helpful that way.
Thank you so much. I see Marjorie has a hand.
And Suzanne, something that you might want to look at, I don't think you mentioned where you're from, but you might want to maybe talk with William about some other teams that are somewhat in your area. A lot of times what they do, just having been a judge in the first before, I know that they'll host little competitions between teams, not in a mean way, but as a like, let's see if we can learn and build. So you might have some teams in your general area that might be willing to, have your guys come together and maybe even sort of have a small competition together. So that might be something that you might be able to do.
Unfortunately, I don't think there's a lot of teams in our area. William and I kind of looked into that, and actually we kind of created a love affair with Hamilton. We spend a lot of time down there. I love Noah and Sarah from Makeshift, and they've just been like, honestly, Noah from Makeshift, we can call him like when Peter's busy, because I'm not technical, I'll just call Noah and say, hey, I don't know what to do with these boys are stuck, and he like walks them through with problem solving. So we've really made a really nice alliance with them, and the Waffles team down there as well. They're going to help us with the rookie award. We just fell in love with everybody from Hamilton, and it's only like an hour. We're from Whitby, so it's only like an hour and 10 minutes, and everyone seems fine with that. And I don't mind driving, so we've just been doing that.
There's another team. I'm trying to think, William, you might know the team. They won at the Georgian event last March. They won the Chairman's Award. I want to say 7411. They make all of their coding and stuff free source. So there's a lot of options for that as well.
Yes, 1114.
We have so many resources, and as William knows, he's like, oh, check this out. I'm like, bring it on, and I always check it out. I like embrace every opportunity I possibly can, and I just think now, like, I think I've gotten so much support. I think I need to stop.
That's amazing.
That's great. That's good.
Because I still have to reach out to Thomas Dick from Ontario Tech, and I just been leaving me alone because I know he's going into exams. But everyone has just been so helpful, so amazing. We just can't, I can't praise everything enough about FIRST Robotics. So
And I think that's a really great note on which to maybe conclude our proceedings for this evening. I'm sure there's lots more we could discuss. I really wanted to make a shout out to the Hamilton Wentworth Catholic District School Board, who in my personal rankings ranks as the foremost school board in the entire province. And that story that Suzanne just told has been repeated 1,000 times. The human qualities that they're generating through the educational piece connected with FIRST Robotics are nothing short of spectacular. And there are other school boards out there that are following in those footsteps, but definitely that school board has the right mix. And I really hope that everyone will send great vibes everywhere to administrators to emulate that amazing example.
Yeah. Could they send a delegation to YRDSB? Go up to the
Yes.
school board, talk to them.
I think, when there's just a little brightly shining light, it can start to illuminate adjacent spaces, and it will get there. It will get there.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate everyone's contributions to this evening's consultation and deliberations, and so many opportunities are here. And I really look forward to hearing how your teams proceed through the year and how your fundraising and community building efforts work. And looking forward to seeing many of you on the kickoff day. And if not then, well, soon thereafter, as the build season goes so quickly that before you know it, you're on the carpet and maybe even at Georgian College and many of the other fine venues that we have around the province.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that 4039 at St. Mary in Hamilton, one of the schools that you're talking about, is hosting a Kitten Kickoff on the 6th.
Nice.
We're going to be there, and just send a message to Makeshift Robotics, all one word, no punctuation, at gmail.com. Matt Alderson, who's a professional engineer mentor, will certainly extend an invitation to any other teams that may want to come.
That's
In fact,
great.
we've already arranged with them to pick up our kit from the Kitten Kickoff. So they typically take a trailer to Studica, pick up everything for our team, their team, and any other teams that want to get on the same bandwagon. So typically we do a little bit of engineering process before the announcement, and then after the announcement, we actually do a human actor as robot simulation in the lobby, and helps them better understand the game and how points are scored and so on. It's a really excellent opportunity.
Thank you so much again, and hope everyone has a wonderful evening, and looking forward to seeing each and every one of you very soon.